Thank you, Chair Tripp. This time I'm going to call to order the meeting of the Board of Governors. Minoka, you want to call the roll? Here. Here. Here.
Governor Carter.
Here.
Governor Chopra. Fossey.
Here.
Here. Governor Huizenga.
Here.
Governor Coots.
Here.
Governor Westcott.
Here.
Governor
Here.
Governor Lee. Governor Horton.
Here.
Commissioner Stewart. Here. Governor Tripp.
Here.
And Governor West. Here.
Thank you. Before we get started this afternoon, I wanted to thank President Rosenberg, Chair Mowry, and FIU for hosting us. FIU has already hosted our Trustees Summit this morning, and the board will be spending this afternoon and tomorrow morning on FIU's campus. During the full board meeting tomorrow, I will ask President Rosenberg to say a few words, but I wanted to make sure today that he and his staff know how much we appreciate everything you've done. You've gone over and above and beyond everything that's been, for this Trustees Summit. We really taxed you, and we really appreciate it. The full board is meeting this afternoon to take up one very important item, the recommendation of a new chancellor by the Chancellor Search Committee. When I announced the formation of the Chancellor Search Committee, I expressed complete confidence in the committee's ability to find a talented leader who understands our system's issues, a person who would be able to help our system maintain momentum in becoming the best system in the nation. I also reminded the committee that choosing a chancellor is among the greatest responsibilities of our board. The committee was extremely dedicated and worked diligently to find exactly that kind of leader. The search attracted qualified candidates from across the country. That is a testament to the reputation of our system. I am pleased that the board has the opportunity to take action on the committee's thoughtful and well-reasoned recommendation. Before I turn it over to the committee, I want to ask our General Counsel, Vicki Shirley, whether there have been any requests for public comment related to this item.
No, sir.
Thank you. Governor Hussaini was chaired our Chancellor Search Committee, so I call on Governor Hussaini for his report.
Thank you, Chair Colson. The Chancellor Search Committee held its first meeting on September 25th. At that meeting, we approved a phased search process. This flexible search process began that day because the committee did not want to waste any time finding the right person to serve as the chief executive for the second largest state university system in the country. The committee knew that the phase process could take as low as 2 months or as long as 9 months to complete. Our first priority was finding the best person for the job. We also approved a position description at the first meeting. The committee was looking for a proven leader with executive-level experience who had a track record of involvement in complex higher education and political environments. The committee cast a wide net because our primary focus was on finding a proven leader. Our staff went to work right away and placed online advertisement in publication including the Chronicle of Higher Education, Diverse Magazine, Higher Ed Jobs, Hispanic Outlook Magazine, Insider Higher Ed, and Women in Higher Education. At the end of the initial application period, the committee was extremely pleased with the response to our call for nomination and application. Candidates from across the country were interested in becoming our next chancellor. On November 7th, the committee held a conference call to review the applications. The committee stressed that we were looking for a proven leader who could do 3 things: navigate complex higher educational and political environments, articulate this board's priorities, and understand the specific challenges that the system faces. The committee felt that the overall pool of applicants was impressive and highly qualified. Dr. Chopra commented that the pool was faculty-friendly. The pool included 6 current or former provosts, 6 current or former deans, 3 former presidents, 2 current or former system heads, and 3 CEOs. At the end of the conference call, the committee voted unanimously to invite 4 candidates for interviews on November 12th and to make a decision about interviewing 2 additional candidates at another time as needed. On November 12th, the committee spent the day interviewing those 4 candidates in person in Orlando. At the end of the day, the committee agreed that all of the candidates were qualified for the position of chancellor. We heard from 4 candidates with impressive credentials, all of whom brought experience in higher education leadership to the table. 1 candidate, however, rose to the top as the person who could best be able to articulate this board's priorities and understand the specific challenges that the system faces. That candidate is Marshall Kreiser. The Chancellor's Search Committee voted unanimously to recommend that the board appoint Marshall Kreiser as our next Chancellor. Mr. Chair, that is my report.
Thank you. I would like to do some little bit out of the ordinary, and since I am outgoing as chair, I would like to have the privilege of making the motion to appoint, for this board to appoint Marshall Kreiser III as Chancellor, and that the board delegate to Vice Chair Hussaini the authority to negotiate an employment agreement with Mr. Kreiser, recognizing that we don't meet again until mid-January and the need to have a chancellor in place as part of that motion. I would move we delegate the authority to Vice Chair Hussaini to execute the agreement on behalf of the board if the total compensation does not exceed the compensation set forth in the prior agreement with Chancellor Brogan. That would be my motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. Yes, sir.
I've been waiting for this moment since the process began, and I could not be more enthusiastic about the gentleman that the search committee selected. This is a man who has dedicated his entire adult career, his adult extracurricular career, to higher education in Florida. His own kids have participated in higher education in Florida. I served with him on the Board of Trustees at the University of Florida. Don't know very many people that serve in those roles that understands or tries to understand as much as possible the unique needs of the faculty, the students, and the stakeholders outside the walls of the university. And so, Chairman Hussaini, I think you did a spectacular job at a huge savings to the taxpayers of the state by managing the process the way you did, and I don't think you could have found a better candidate to run our state university system. The only thing I would suggest, same thing I said on the phone, Marshall, if I'm going to be wearing garnet and gold for the national championship game, so are you, my friend. Good job, Mr. Chairman.
Governor Coons.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a brief comment on both the process and the candidate. It should not be lost on any of us the money that the state of Florida saved by following a process that Chairman of the committee, Hussaini, suggested, which tradition, I think, in most situations, there would have been a search firm hired to go on a national search. We would have spent a significant amount of money to do so. We would have taken an extended period of time to do so, and because of Governor Hussaini's frugalness and also his confidence in our staff, which is really what I want to talk about for a minute. The staff did some amazing work. Not only the advertisements were obviously effective, but the tireless work that went on by all members of the staff to surface the candidates, to vet the candidates, to do it not having the benefit of having our committee meet every day, but they were fantastic. And so we saved money we leveraged a staff that is really second to none among university systems around the country. And then we identified several candidates. And having served on the committee, I know that any of them could have done the job. I also know that we have made great progress, but we also have significant challenges in front of us from a system perspective. And we needed to select somebody that not only understood what some of those challenges were, but hopefully would have a perspective on where we have been and where we need to go. And so the fact that we have found a Floridian, somebody who has dedicated their career to not only work in the private sector, but also dedicated their career to the state of Florida, somebody that has a history of service to the state of Florida, I think is the best possible outcome. And so I am so pleased to support this nomination. I know that Florida is shining bright, but with Marshall Kreiser as the new chancellor, there is even a brighter future in store for this university system.
Thank you. Governor Tripp.
Maybe 2 years ago, a little bit longer, I had the chance to have a conversation with Marshall, and he specifically pointed out to me the fact that he recognized his obligation as an appointee of this board, not only to be a trustee at the University of Florida, but to make sure that he spoke well and supported the system, and that we were all going to be better if the system was supported, and he intended to do that. And maybe he was thinking of running 2.5 years ago. I doubt it. But when his name came up, I knew immediately that it was somebody who recognized the value of having a very strong system as well as very strong individual universities. And so I am very pleased that he's going to be leading us in this role as chancellor.
Thank you. I'd like to, we have a motion, a second. Governor Chopra?
I had the pleasure of serving on the committee as well, and I think the position of chancellor requires a very unique set of attributes, and we were able to find somebody that does justice to all of them. Understanding of the different constituents, the ability to understand the role and responsibility of faculty and how we work with students, and just the fact that they have such good knowledge of the system in Florida. And so I'm very happy to support this nomination as well.
Great. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Marshall is sitting in the audience with his beautiful wife, Kimberly, and Marshall, come on up and say a few words, and welcome as our new chancellor.
Probably say wow and sit down. But, I would share with you, my wife must be a fan of Mark Twain, because last night she told me that I needed to spend the time to write a short speech, so I didn't feel like I had to give a long one. I do want to say thank you, Chairman Colson and Governor Hosseini and all of the members of the search committee and of this board for what you have entrusted in me. And I take that very, very seriously. I also want to say thank you to many of the individuals in this room, outside this room, who are in administration, who are faculty, who are students, who I have over the last several years had opportunities to learn from you. And I intend every single day to continue to do that, because that's a conversation and an education process that has been incredibly valuable to me. I also think I ought to thank Chancellor Brogan, not only for the fact that he moved to Pennsylvania, where, by the way, Randy, it's 41 degrees colder than it is right now, but also because he has built and kept together a professional team and particularly Chancellor Ignash for your service to this state during this time of transition. But to all of that team, I want them to understand that part of the reason I am so excited about this, and by the way, it wasn't 2.5 years ago, I think it was about 4 months ago that I started this conversation when I read in the paper that Chancellor Brogan had announced that he was moving to Pennsylvania. But it is incredible to me the team that is a part of this Board of Governors and the professionals that are there, the competence that is there, and the day in and day out commitment they make to our state that make this something that is incredibly attractive to me. I believe that this board and some of the boards that may have preceded it have built a foundation in this state that is absolutely focused on our students, and our families, and our citizens in Florida. It is my commitment to you to build on that foundation, which I believe is comprised of academic excellence. I believe it has a value toward access to Florida students, and I believe that we will establish the accountability that will demonstrate to our stakeholders that the investment they make in higher education in Florida is absolutely the best possible investment that can be made with public or private dollars. And I hope to reach out to all of those individuals and do that. And then I think finally I just want to say thank you to my wife Kimberly and the rest of our family. But it is not often that anyone gets confronted with, okay, I want to change significantly at this stage in life. I think she suspected this is something that may have, this has been an urgency that's been building in me for a while. I believe this is absolutely one of the most exciting opportunities in the world, and particularly in this state. But to have a wife that will put up with you and do this with you, and we're looking forward to getting back to Tallahassee. So thank you very much, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Marshall, I speak for everyone in the room that we all look forward to working with you, and we all recognize how lucky we are to have attracted someone with your skills to lead our system. Before we take a quick break, we have 3 former governors, Charlie Edwards, Frank Martin, and Carolyn Roberts, that I've seen today. Carolyn was chair of this board, and Charlie served for years, and Frank served for years. Thank you for being here and participating in the trustee summit today. And And sitting across from me is someone I've never met, but he's got 4 stars on. And my entire life, I didn't know that I'd ever meet a 4-star. But we have General John Kelly from the U.S. Marine Corps and the commander of U.S. Southern Command. And we're a little behind schedule, but it wasn't my fault. I delegated. But welcome, and we really appreciate your presence here today and your work with the University of South Florida. And we're going to take a quick break, then we're going to get to all this. Thank you. If there's nothing further, we'll take a 10-minute break. Thank you.